One of the biggest issues I see in the manufacturing world is, people like me that were told you're based not smart, you're not going to make it if you don't do this college thing. Grew up with a lot of, I'll say, pain, animosity, little chip on your shoulder. And one of the things that I've discovered is, because this is the inner work that I had to do, is that when you grow up in that environment, the system that's operating this machine here, this human machine, is in many ways driven by negativity, by proving people wrong, right? Like, you have those haters or those people that basically made you feel like you were worthless and you didn't really know how you were going to go win in the world. You just had this burning desire, this angst, this thing that you knew you were going to do something great with your life. You just didn't know how, where, and how it was going to show up. And for me, I was fueled by basically proving all the haters wrong, that I was going to go out and win in something. And so, as I have done tremendous amounts of growth and reflection, I discovered the number one thing for me is I had to get my ego out of the way. And man, that's a tough thing, right? Because when you're not supposed to make it, whatever that means, and then you make it again, whatever that means. But let's just say you had a goal of making 100 grand a year. And today, obviously doesn't seem like that much these days, but 30 something years ago, that's a complete lifestyle change. And then you break through that and you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times, and you start just crushing all of those levels that you were either told was impossible or you really didn't believe you could do it, but then somehow, some way you did it. And I don't know why this is, but I actually understand that these folks grew up in the same education system that I did and was basically abused, if you will, emotionally by the education system, by the people around you that were aligned and worked really well in that world. So the education model was really easy for them, for people that are wired like me and most of my friends that have built amazing manufacturing companies, I think share the same thought process and the same mentality. And I think this is like one of the number one things that hold people back from actually building something of real value is just your mindset. You got big ego by all rights. If you built, let's say you built a company doing $1 million a year, and a few companies actually ever make that to that mark, right? And then you crack the 2 million and 3 million. I mean, you just keep separating yourself from the people that try business and versus the people that do it and have some consistent growth model. But what's so interesting to me is that no matter what level you get stuck at, because I've been stuck at the million, the 3 million, the 2, just as you go up the chain, I've been stuck at all these levels. And it was never the business's issue or problem, because there's lots of successful businesses, manufacturing companies that did way, way bigger than mine. But it was a really easy thing. Of course, looking back now, having amazing mentors in my life, and of course, being humbled and learning how to break down all of these negative forces, all this negative energy in my life that was basically holding me back from bigger things in my life. It really just comes down to the mindset. Do you want to win? And I use that phrase. It's so funny to me too. On social media recently, we just posted something and there was something about this, like you're either winning or losing. You got to pick a team. You got to pick a side. Like, do you want to win or do you like losing? And a mentor of mine many years ago said, you're either winning or you're learning. And I think there's a lot of great learning through losing, right? In fact, I think the vast majority of learning comes from basically trying a lot of things and things that don't work out. It doesn't mean you've lost. It means you've learned something. And this idea about winning is it's really a mindset. Does that mean we have another company and we're tracking with their top line sales and on our bottom line and we're putting ourselves against them in the competition of the industries? I mean, maybe, sort of, and it depends on how you're wired. If that motivates you, great. My methodology about winning, or I'm going to say overcoming this negative mindset, is building a really, really clear vision of where you're going and then reverse engineering it back to what I'm going to do every day. And to me, that is winning. It's not a game that somebody else set up for me. It's the game that I set up for myself. And the winning and this mindset shift comes from me setting up the game that I want to play. And that means knowing what my activities is going to be every single day, not necessarily whether the result of the activity I wanted is the higher level of metric. Now, certainly you want to look at results because you can't manage what you don't measure. So there has to be some level of measuring results. But if you want to win anything, you have to set the game up with your own rules, if you will, so you can play your own game. And so when I think about people get stuck at whatever level is, man, you just got to look in the mirror. You got to ask yourself, am I the one that's holding my business back? And let's get real, right? Yes, the answer is yes. And the challenge is, what's your ego saying? Are you still denying it, that it's not you, that it's somebody else? And there could be somebody else in there, but it's your business, right? You're responsible. You're responsible for everybody that's involved in your company. If you're the leader, you're the founder, you started this thing, you're responsible for everything. And so at the end of the day, you got to look in the mirror. If your business isn't growing, it's very clear that you're not growing. Now, you may be growing and your business isn't growing, but I can promise you, if you're consistently working to get better, you have great mentors that have done what you want to do. That means they've gone before you and they can help you with speed to navigate all the pain, all the negative things, all the horrible things, and all the what a win looks like. It's great to have amazing mentors because they can help you set up your new rules for your game that you want to play. And that's how consistently you can get this win that everybody so desires. But you got to change that mindset. And the challenge with most people that they're not seeing any kind of growth, I'm not even talking about scaling. Let's forget about scaling right now, because in the vast majority of work that we're doing right now with individuals and companies is we got to get your growth model put together first before we talk about scaling. Okay. Because what do you want to scale? You want to scale a big mess? It's just not going to happen. Okay. We want to make sure that we've got an amazing growth model. And that growth model starts with the founder, starts with that leadership and that leadership team. And it always comes back to mindset. Is our ego, our negative ego driving us? And at what point, like for me, I had that big negative ego. And when I say negative ego, meaning the negativity was what, and proving people wrong is the thing that was driving me. But then I got to a certain place, you know, on my sabbatical, and I didn't have the naysayers or the haters. And eventually I was like, man, now what's going to motivate me? Now what's going to drive me? And it took me a few years. I was stuck at a certain rate for a number of years and the businesses wasn't growing. And my mentor was like, dude, look in the mirror. You know, you're not growing. And sometimes that's the opposite side of Mike Tyson's line. Everybody's got a plan until you punch them in the face. You know, that whole thing. So let's get a plan so you can be punched in the face. So you're going to know how to defend yourself against or from yourself. And the only way that I see anybody ever doing that is having the right mentors in their life. They can help shape that new mindset and help overcome this ego that's holding them back. And you will start to see themselves grow, and then their business will grow.